Oh, good morning again and welcome everybody to this international conference I've called I Want to Die, the contemporary author and their suicide. Oh, I'm super happy. I'm super excited to see you all here at last after more than 2 years of organization of this encounter. I'm sure we all are gonna learn a lot during these 2 days with this exchange of knowledge on how different authors coming from different times, trends, and backgrounds let clues in their works about their suicidal ideas to get to know how, this is the question, how we can foresee in advance about suicidal intention and suicidal behavior through literature. So let me introduce myself briefly. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Complutense University of Madrid, where I am the principal investigator of the project Pre-Board Well-being and Prevention of Boredom in Spanish Nursing Homes, funded by the European program Horizon 2020 under a contract, Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions. And with this project, I seek to research the causes and consequences of the experience of boredom in nursing homes and propose solutions consistent with the needs of older adults, but also of the institutions in which they live. As many of you know, previously I was a postdoctoral researcher at Harvard University, and basically I'm a specialist in boredom studies from a multidisciplinary perspective, but my interest covered depression, suicide, anxiety, and other related mental states. I'm also the founder and the president of the International Society of Boredom Studies, to which you all, for sure, are invited to join for free. I recently published The Disease of Boredom. This is my last book. And I'm also the editor of books such as The Faces of Depression in Literature, The Culture of Boredom, Boredom is in Your Mind. What else? I think that's enough to know a little bit more about the person who organized this conference, right? You can visit my website or my Twitter profile for more information if you want to, but the protagonists today are you. So I want to start introducing a question. Why to have such a conference like this? As you all know, from the turn of the 20th century to the present, debates over the meaning of suicide became a privileged site for efforts to discover the reasons why people commit suicide and how to prevent this behavior. Since Emil Durkheim published his famous study, Suicide, in 1897, a reframing of suicide took place, giving rise to a flourishing group of researchers devoting their efforts to understand better the causes and prevention of suicide. A century later, unfortunately, we still keep on trying to reach such an understanding of suicide and its modern conceptualization to prevent suicidal behavior. Don't you think so? So, suicide is an act that touches all our lives and engages with the incomprehensible in searching for solutions to how to make life valuable. Modern neuropsychiatric research alone is not able to offer such a chance to people, after all. On the contrary, self-reflection and self-analysis, as those made by contemporary authors, writers who committed suicide, seems to me a good alternative. So to explore the place where reasons end, in addition to traditional and clinical suicidology studies, we count on literature and the experience of authors who committed or tried to commit suicide as resources to approach this issue in modern times. I think you all agree with me in this point. So, this is a conference to analyze the social and contextual causes of suicide, the existential, philosophical, and psychological reasons for committing suicide, and prevention strategies we can learn from contemporary writers across the world who attempted to commit suicide or reach this goal and wrote about this topic in their biographical notes or artistic pieces. Your presentations are gonna focus on the clues the authors themselves left before committing suicide or attempting to commit suicide, both in their biographical texts and in their literary works. Regardless the literary genre, the sex of the authors, their nationality, and such an analysis will serve the purpose of understanding better the phenomenon of suicide. It must inaccessible impulses and provide a space to think of how their suicides might have been prevented from the clues found both in their biography and their masterpieces. This is the point of this conference. The ultimate reason of this encounter is to give reasons to promote literary writing as a means for preventing suicide nowadays. I'm convinced that people thinking of committing suicide can be helped by making them write about their feelings and vital experiences and even writing fictional literature. If we are trained in searching for clues about their intention in their writings, we can hopefully prevent this behavior. Writing is for sure one of the best therapies for those who are having a bad time and find no reasons to continue in this world. And it's of the utmost importance to be prepared to recognize their intentions in their writings to be able to offer help and support. So now I would like to tell something about the history of this encounter because this encounter has a history. This conference will be the second part of one held in 2019 at Georgetown University as part of the American Comparative Literature Association annual meeting, focused on the study of suicide and depression through the characters of contemporary fictional works. This one had a brief sequel at Harvard University. I'm sure you remember this. It was the same year, as some of you know, because you took part in one of these two events, in one or another. And the results of these two meetings were published in December 2021 by the publisher Springer Nature, as well as the proceedings of this second meeting will be. Some of you are contributing your chapters to this second volume, and this is a wonderful opportunity. This is the second reason for organizing this encounter. It's a wonderful opportunity to improve your proposals by including the commentaries, the feedback, and the constructive critiques you are going to receive during these 2 days. And just a kind reminder that you have July and August to introduce the changes you consider appropriate to your chapters, and that the deadline to send your chapters to me is the 1st of September, right? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to introduce briefly the panels this conference will consist of, just to have this overview. First of all, we will have the structural panel, in which the speakers are going to tell how the structural and social conditions of contemporary authors were responsible for their suicidal ideas. In this panel, we will have Julia Kovitz from Complutense University of Madrid talking of Günter Rode's death. Sorry for the pronunciation of the names of some authors and some of you because are very complicated to me. We will have also Rashmi Joshi who is an independent scholar with a presentation of Sara Shagufta, Andrea Marin Gil, also from the Complutense University of Madrid, and talking of Osamu Dazai. And we are supposed to have also Iman Nick from the German Society of Forensic Linguistics, speaking of Maya Jim, but unfortunately he was not able to be with us this morning, and his presentation will take place tomorrow as part of the Philosophical Panel 1. So after a short break, the agency panel will count on Diego Carretero Roman from Complutense University of Madrid with a conversation on Virginia Woolf, Miriam Rodriguez del Real from the National Distance Education University with a presentation about Simone Weil, and Robin Geyer from Youngstown State University with a speech on William Styron. Then we will have a long break for lunch and come back with the Deleuze panel. Again, there is a minor change in this panel since Mercedes López Mateo from Autonomous University of Madrid has to defend her master thesis at the scheduled time for her presentation. So she will be presenting at the end of the day at 6 p.m. more or less. So we will listen, however, to Alison Parks from Hunter College, City University of New York, speaking on Deleuze. The last panel for today is devoted to exploring words. Josefa Tamburello from the University of Palermo will open this panel with a presentation on HISI. Chiari Tripathi from the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies will talk of Serban Hussein, and Daria Agis, independent scholar, will analyze Elif Safat's and Fuani Marino's works. This will be the last presentation of this first day, okay? Tomorrow, we will start at 10 a.m. with a panel on Sylvia Plath. We will listen to Fionnuala Simpson from National University of Ireland, Pooja Jadab from the University of Delhi, and Ilem Isawi and Iraq Isawi from University of Sfax, Tunisia. After the short break, we will have the Philosophical Panel 1 with Juan Ignacio Iturraspe from the National Distance Education University, speaking of Carlo, this is impossible to pronounce for me, Michael Stepta. I don't know if this is the proper form to pronounce this surname. We will have to Fernando Gilabert Bello from the University of Sevilla with a presentation on Paul Celan, Leonor Saro from the Complutense University of Madrid with a presentation about Unica CERN, and finally the presentation by Iman Nick on Maya Ajin. After the break for lunch, the last panel of this encounter will be Philosophical Panel 2. So to put an end to the conference, Paolo Humberto Gajardo from the University of Chile will talk about Philip Meilenda. Morgan Rempel from Georgia Southern University will talk of Tolstoy. Mary Elliott from University of California, Davis, will speak about Mayakovsky and another surname I'm not able to pronounce, Svetseva, more or less. Fabio Bartoli from Pontificia Javeriana University will explore suicide in Kafka. And the last presentation will be in charge of Thomas Zweige from the Institute of Linguistics at Graz University, which will close the conference with a presentation on Robert Howard. Whew, wow, we have an intense conference, my friends, I know. Its ongoing will be as follows. The moderators of each panel will introduce the speaker and the title of their presentation. Then the speaker will have around 20 minutes or more or less to speak and 10 minutes to answer your questions. When 2 minutes are remaining for the speaker to finish their presentation, The moderator will press the raise hand button. Okay, this is only a kind reminder for the speaker to remember that they must conclude. During the presentation, you all can ask questions in the chat box. The moderator will collect them to ask them to the presenter if you don't feel like asking by yourself. But of course, you can wait until the end of the presentation and add your hands to participate in the debate aloud. Please keep your microphones off all the time, except for participating in the debate with your questions. It would be great if you could switch your cameras on in order to make the conference more pleasant, more entertaining. And a brief note for presenters, you can share your slides or your screen just by clicking on the button consisting of a square with an arrow and choosing the option that better fits your need. In case you have problems, I'll be here to help. I have all your presentations, so please no worries. During the breaks, the room will keep open. Oh, warning, warning. The conference will be recorded to be uploaded to YouTube. So after the conference, you will receive a consent to be signed, giving me permission to do it, just in case you want to have your presentation on YouTube, of course. This is important. And what else? Oh, yes, you have, if you have any technical issue during the conference, please write me at my emails to the address I'm going to share in a couple of minutes in the chat box. So I think that's all. One last thing, don't forget, please don't forget to share pics of the conference in your social networks using the hashtag suicide conference. And I think that's all. We are ready to start with the first panel. I can't believe we are doing right now this at last. Thank you so very much for your attendance and for making this conference, this encounter possible.